This is the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com, your one-stop shop for all things horrific and horror-related. Read the reviews, frolic in the forum, hem and haw over the horoscopes, and listen mightily to the Horror Movie Show with Mark and Jerry, your horrible hosts. Howdy do, folks. Jerry here.
And Mark.
Bringing you another episode in a long series of episodes of the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com. You can also find us on iTunes and on Facebook. Horror Movie Show.
Love us.
Love us, like us.
Don't
love
like us, love us.
Love us, love us. Love
they
us
don't
all.
have that option. They should.
No, you know, a lot of people
I really like you.
A lot of people say they want a dislike button on Facebook. I say an indifferent button. Press this if you don't have an opinion one way or the other.
And sometimes that's the way I feel.
Do I have to press the button if I don't care? Yes, you do. Are you part of this community or not?
That's why I don't get into the community.
I just had a big email last night from an old buddy of mine. Haven't seen him in a few years. He was telling me how evil Facebook is and how it's all part of the conspiracy to control us and so on. And I just like, give me a break. It's just the latest thing. Yeah, it's full of ads. Of course it's full of ads. It's full of all kinds of crap.
Why wouldn't
but so
it
is
be?
commercial TV.
Of course.
And commercial TV is so passive. When I yell at the TV,
it doesn't answer.
It doesn't give me an LOL, you know. When I make a funny comment or a sarcastic comment on Facebook, you know, people respond and there's an actual interaction of
and you
human
like
beings
that.
there. I do. I enjoy that.
Yeah. Yes, whereas your TV just sits there and stares at
Generally,
you.
just...
it's mocking you.
I hope it's not staring at me.
It's mocking you.
Supposedly, during Nixon's time, somebody went to Nixon and said, you know, it would be easy to put something similar to the Nielsen ratings box on top of every TV. Built it right into each TV in America, so we'd be able to see people at home. Mm-hmm. And Nixon said, "Oh, that's too scary." Oh,
see, he was right.
If Nixon turned that down, just imagine how liberal he was.
I think he was more like thinking, "They'll put me in jail if I let them do this."
Again, yeah. He's dead. So is Margaret Thatcher, and I have to say, good. What a bitch.
Oh, you met her, did you?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. She had her way with me when I was but a
And she dumped you like a lamb.
Oh, once she got into politics, she was mean to everybody.
Oh, really?
I couldn't believe it. Yeah, the whole gang. She just turned her back on all of us. She used to be such fun. She can drink. She could drink. Oh, my gosh, that woman could drink. She'd drink everybody in the pub under the table.
Literally?
And she could arm wrestle. People don't realize that about her, but she really was the Iron Lady.
And, you know, she wasn't even a woman.
Oh, God. Let's get on to something important. We got some movies to talk about. We're going to start with Oz, the Great and Powerful. Probably the biggest 3D movie I've seen so far, and I have to say that once again, I just don't see that these 3D effects are really adding that much to the movie.
The beginning credits were kind of cool.
Yeah, I know, but that's credits. That's not even the director who does the credits.
Yeah, I know. It's some other company that does it, but they were really cool. I like because it was all these kind of like paper cutout kind of things, and that worked very well.
A little tip of the hat to the fact that these are all based on literary stories, kids' books.
And I like the fact that even in the black and white looked really good.
Yeah.
In fact, I prefer it in some sense to the color.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, black and white can be really beautiful, sort of silvery.
It reminded me like a Viewmaster. Remember those old Viewmasters?
Yep.
It had the square screen.
Yeah. Yes, a small screen.
The small screen, and it looked perfect.
Yeah, it's really trying to recall without getting sued. It was really trying to recall the Judy Garland version of The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And, you know, right down to where the Mila Kunis character playing a good witch is turned into a bad witch and turns green.
Yeah.
So that she would be
the Wicked Witch of the West.
The Wicked Witch of the West.
Yes. I thought that was interesting.
Margaret Hamilton played in the original movie.
That's right.
I'll get you, my pretty.
Yes, that's right. Mila doesn't put on the funny voice, which is too bad.
She does get a little bit higher.
Yeah, she gets a little weirded out. So she plays Theodora. And they really don't use any of the names from the original. This ridiculous notion that both the wizard and the country are called Oz.
Yes.
That was kind of silly.
It does explain it in the book.
Yeah, I know. But,
why that
but
happened.
Since they're trying to be a prequel to the Judy Garland movie,
Yeah.
you know, with the Yellow Brick Road and the Munchkins and the Emerald City and all that, since they're trying to stick so close to that, I thought it was a little ridiculous that they have to avoid using all the names and so much of the stuff that we know from The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
They really did. I think it was copyright issues or something.
I think they took them from the book. I think MGM kind of took liberties.
Oh, no
with some of
doubt.
the names.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's a Hollywood musical, the Judy Garland version.
Yeah.
So this is directed by good old Sam Raimi. How he has risen in the world from the original Evil Dead movie.
Yeah.
Written by Mitchell Kapner and David Lindsay Aber. Stars James Franco. I thought his most annoying. The way that man grins and the wrinkles pop out on his face. He looks like he's made out of plastic or something. He's odd looking when he really grins.
He's an odd actor.
Yeah. You ever seen him on The Colbert Report?
Yes.
When he plays his evil twin?
Yes.
Frank Jameso? I love that.
He tried to do some trivia with Colbert on The Hobbit or the Lord of the Rings. Yeah. And he asked him one really hard question from the Silmarillion or something like that. Yeah. He just wanted two of these sorcerers' names, and Colbert started listing all of them, like one after the other.
I have to say, I think that was Peter Jackson, maybe. James Franco was nothing to do with Lord of the Rings.
No, I know, but he was the one that...
Is he a trivia nut?
Yeah, he was a trivia nut.
Rings too?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Eddie he sure has been funny.
But I didn't like him in this part.
No, I thought he was terrible. I thought it was really miscast.
Yes.
And
he seemed to be uncomfortable in his own clothes.
Yeah, and as a Facebook friend of mine pointed out, there's no old people in this movie.
No.
They're all young and they're all beautiful.
Yeah.
You know,
until they turn green.
Yeah. You know, even then she's pretty hot. Oh, that Mila Kunis can do no wrong by me.
You like that nose?
Oh, I would sell my grandmother for Mila's.
I didn't think she did a great job on this role either.
Well, I just think the whole movie, to be honest, and I might as well be since...
Why not?
On the air, yeah. I thought the whole movie was kind of mediocre. I didn't like it. I think compared with the Judy Garland version, it's thin and obvious, and the humor is too modern and too silly, and I don't think it will have staying power beyond a few years. I think it'll really be out of place next to the Judy Garland one, which is really, I think what they were trying to do was make Part 1 and Part 2.
Right.
And no.
There were sections of it that were kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. There's some good bits.
Yeah. But the thing is
that flying monkey, the little flying monkey played by Zach Braff, is just too sickly sweet. Too much aimed at the kids.
Yeah.
Too childish.
The China doll girl.
Yeah. Nice effect, but thin.
Just everything seemed to, you could see what they were trying to go for, but they didn't quite get there.
No, there wasn't any depth to it. They've got such marvelous special effects these days, and yet they just didn't have enough of a story to give it substance. Yeah, the little China doll. I mean, it's a beautiful idea, but it just winds up being this obnoxious little punk teenager. You just want to kick her into a wall and shatter her forever. It's really obnoxious. And the monkey, same thing. It sounded like that obnoxious Nathan Lane character.
That's
Well, I'll tell you, boy, back in my day. Oh, shut up, flying monkey. And they changed it as well. They were no longer flying monkeys. They were flying baboons on the bad side.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but they were flying monkeys.
As far as we're concerned.
In The Wizard of Oz.
Because they didn't have those butts.
That's right. That'd be the worst thing. What if they came flying backwards at you? No, don't touch me with that purple thing.
They could take over the world.
Yeah. I enjoyed the big battle at the end, the great Oz, with his American know-how and trickery. And of course, he gets the Munchkin manufacturers to build him, everything he needs to...
they were the tinkerers.
A 3D... I like this. the 3D holographic display, that was pretty good.
Yeah. But wasn't he like that in the Wizard of Oz? Didn't he have the 3D?
It's not in 3D. You do see it's like a monstrous, great, scary-looking head projected onto smoke.
Yeah.
But just thought they stole, essentially, everything that they thought would be cool, but it just fell a little flat. I didn't find this movie as much fun as I hoped I would.
Well, those witches were pretty scared of just a bunch of steam.
That's right. Yes, the notion that they're all technologically primitive in Oz.
Yes.
The balloon was an amazing thing to them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they're that primitive and they live in a world of magic, then throwing fireballs and lightning and stuff like that.
At the beginning, you have the two witches to turn into the evil witches.
Yeah.
And you don't know that.
One of them is already evil, but secretly evil.
Yeah, but
Rachel Weisz's character.
Yeah, Rachel Weisz sitting there, she's basically controlling the empire at that point because the king is gone or whatever, and she's calling the shots.
There's a prophecy that a wizard will fall from the sky and he'll be a great wizard and he will rule the kingdom. So they're waiting for him, and they've got a warehouse full of gold and all this stuff.
Oh, God, look at all that gold.
Franco.
What the heck were they going to do with all that gold?
I know.
It's like, what a useless pile of...
I think they're stealing it from the 7 dwarfs who live in the valley next door.
What possible use could they have for it if it's just sitting there?
Yeah.
It's just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah. And
it's not like they use it for money.
And James Franco, I mean, he's so stupid and shallow. What does he think? Boy, I can't wait to take all this back to
Kansas. He could only take a little pailful. And the way
really
he jumps in it and starts throwing it around like he's swimming in it.
Yeah.
I don't know if gold coins are really swimmable.
Yeah.
If you threw them into the sky, they would hurt when they fell.
Of course, it reminded me of
Scrooge McDuck.
No, I was thinking the smog scene at the end of The Hobbit.
Oh, that too.
But the notion there is that dragons are drawn to gold.
Yes, and there's power in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's why they collect it.
Yeah.
Whereas, for some reason, Oz has been minting coins and just throwing them into this
And it looks
warehouse.
like this vault looks endless. It's so huge.
Yeah.
And it's got all sorts of gold things in it. And I'm going, well, what the heck is that?
Yeah. Their economy is actually based on, I don't know, poison apples or something.
I think it's Munchkins. They trade those little kids around.
Yeah, it was very odd. Well, anyway, I found it unimpressive. Have to mention Bruce Campbell. He plays the Winky Gatekeeper.
Yeah.
And brother of Sam, Ted Raimi. He's a skeptic in the audience. And it was sweet to see that Betsy Baker from the, she was in the original Evil Dead movie in 1981. Sam puts her in as a quadling woman. He's so loyal. And the other character we haven't mentioned, Michelle Williams plays Glinda, who, apart from the great and powerful Oz, is really the only other character from the Wizard of Oz Judy Garland movie that is mentioned by name.
Yes, and she is in the books as well.
So. Oh, of course, yeah. All the characters in the Judy Garland movie are in the books.
Yeah.
They just slicked it up and made it a Hollywood musical.
Yeah.
This, thank God, and there is got a laugh out of me when everyone looks, the Munchkins and all the rest of the little villagers look like they're about to burst into song. And Franco goes, okay, all right, stop it right there. And I was like, oh, thank God. At least Sam Raimi and James Franco and I agree on one thing. Bloody musical numbers. I don't even remember the music in it. It's just background music. That wasn't Danny Elfman?
Yeah.
Was it him?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it
sort of movie that he often does the music for.
Yeah.
Tim Burton fantasies.
It looked nice, but the story just didn't quite do it for me. No. And Franco, he basically wrecked it for me.
He's a weird choice.
I've always thought he was a weird choice for any.
Oh, really? He was great in 127 Hours.
That's the only thing I haven't seen him in.
Oh, okay. Well, he was all right in the Spider-Man movies. Sam Raimi's movies. That's why, again, Sam Raimi sticks with his people.
He was okay in Spider-Man, but at the same time, I've seen him in other things that he looks like he doesn't know how to act. And in this one, he looks like he doesn't know how to act.
Just kept grinning, that grin, and his face wrinkles up.
He's trying to be sympathetic in some scenes.
Well, but he's also, of course, he's not supposed to be likable at the beginning because he's a liar and a scam artist.
Yeah, they call him a humbug.
Yeah.
That's basically what he is. That's what they call him in the novels. He's supposed to be a trickster. And
magician.
And that's fine, and he's a ladies' man, like you said.
Yeah.
But he just seems so stiff.
Yeah.
A trickster is supposed to be suave and debonair and slick. He's
he did
more
not
sort
play
of
it. Oily and unpleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, of course, he's an unsuccessful magician. He doesn't find his niche until he's over the rainbow.
No, I think that's what wrecked it for me.
Yeah, good.
Visually, it looked nice.
Yeah.
And some of the effects, I don't know. I think Raimi tried to do some of the effects outside of CGI. There was a lot of smoke in one scene and cloudy kind of thing. Right. And I thought that whole thing, them getting lost in the smoke, was really dumb.
Yeah, it was. Well, let's move on to our next movie, which I have to say I enjoyed more. It's a low-budget movie called Gut. Written and directed by Elias. I guess he's like Cher. He does have a last name, but he's just going by Elias, so that's what we'll call him. He's been in touch with us through Facebook and got us a copy of his movie to see, so thank you, Elias.
Can you rent this movie? Or?
Yeah, I do think it's like...
sort of a Netflix thing?
Yeah, although not Netflix, but I think you can, like, rent a copy. I hope so. Seek it out. I say it's worth seeing. Stars Jason Vale as Tom. He's the main character. His buddy Dan is played by Nicholas Wilder. Tom's wife Lily is played by Sarah Schoofs. And I believe it's their daughter Katie is played by twins Christiana and Caitlin Mueller. Now, I've talked a lot. You want to describe this movie?
Well, you liked it a lot more than I did. I think. Anyway.
But the story involves a guy, Tom.
Two guys that work in an office building, and I don't know what they do.
They're old friends. Too.
Yeah, they sit there and they watch their screens and do spreadsheets all day. I don't know what the heck. Anyway, Tom is trying to distance himself from Dan. Dan is this comical kind of guy.
Yeah.
He's always making fun at work.
Yeah.
He acts like he's a zombie, and he's into horror movies.
He's annoying is what he is.
He's very much into horror movies.
And a super nerd.
Tom and him used to hang out quite a bit.
Watching bad movies.
Yeah.
Tom, though, is also like just jaded. He's not happy at home. He's not happy with his home life. He's not happy at work.
Yeah.
He's not happy with his friend Dan.
And it's not quite explained why he's so unhappy.
Just, he's been married for 10 years and he's bored. That's all it comes down to. He's just plain bored.
Anyway, he's looking for a different place to live, and Dan finds out and is upset. But he's always trying to get him over to watch another movie, kind of thing. And they sit in this diner all the time at lunch.
Yeah.
And discuss things. And finally, he gets Tom to come over and watch this DVD that...
Yeah, he says, I got something here. You're bored watching the same old horror movies? I got something that won't bore you.
Yeah.
So he intrigues his friend, and Tom comes over to watch this, and boy, is he sorry that he did.
Yeah, it's a woman that's tied down onto a
table
and is carved right down the center.
It's a snuff movie.
It's a close-up shot of her belly, the person slicing it open and putting their hand inside the person, and the person's alive.
Into the guts.
While they're alive, and
but not
I don't know
long.
How that could be a movie. I mean, it just made no sense.
It's a snuff movie. Snuff movie is not a film. It's not a movie with a story. It's filming somebody die.
That's it?
That's it. That's a snuff movie. It's the sickest of kicks. And Tom says, my God, Dan, where did you get this? This is disgusting. Destroy it. And Dan says, I will. I ordered it out of the back of a magazine and it showed up. But Tom finds himself not turned on by it, but fascinated by it.
Yes,
and when Dan says, I've got another one, Tom comes and watches that one too. And he starts to become a little desensitized, but horribly conflicted. He's seeing his wife and his daughter. What if they were the ones in this situation? So he wants to be empathetic, but he's kind of nastily jaded himself. And so he's fascinated by this. Although it's torturing him because he's
having nightmares.
Yeah.
And his friend is...
Well, he is now complicit in the murder of...
But they don't know they at that point do not know that these are snuff films.
Oh, yes, they do. Of course they do.
Not at the beginning.
I disagree. They understand exactly what they're watching.
No, well, because they have a discussion. What do you think? Do you think this is real? And the guy says, I don't know.
Okay. What is unspoken there is two guys pretending that it's not real. And Dan, who we later find out is a little more involved than he at first lets on. So he knows it's real. Tom is the one fighting to not believe it's true. But it is true, and he knows that. But he doesn't want to admit to himself that he was even able to watch it. Because the first thing that you should do if you see something like that is contact the authorities, which is his first notion.
Yes.
He wants to contact the police. My God, this is awful. And Dan talks him out of it. And before you know it, Tom's watching another one of these.
He claims that he ordered it before they watched the first one. So this is the second one.
When the third one shows up, Tom has to just confront his friend and say, you're monstrous.
The third one turns out to be this guy's...
Let's not go there. I don't want to give this away because it's worth seeing.
Well, to you it's worth seeing. I just thought the acting was subpar.
Okay. I thought it was underplayed.
And I thought that there was too many scenes of just people staring into void, nothing. The camera sitting on somebody and they're just staring, doing nothing. And they did that a lot. And then the music was this ambience music that was throbbing at some points and boom, boom.
Oh, it's horrible, yeah.
It's not a nice feeling at all.
Don't buy the soundtrack, It's no good
No,
for
I'm just
dancing.
saying just everything in the thing.
I thought it really captured a feeling of paranoia and disgust and horror. This, to me, is one of the most horrific horror movies that I've seen in a long time. It's super low budget, you know. I grant you that. It's not a great looking movie. These are not great actors, although I thought they did an adequate job. I thought the story was just terrifying because it is such a small, understated story.
I didn't like the way it ended. I just didn't.
Okay.
To me... Let's
not talk about that, though.
I know. No, I'm not going to give it away. I'm just sitting there, I'm saying that it shouldn't have gone as far as it did.
Right.
Because the guy knew what was going on.
Well, maybe pushing it a little bit. But see, again, I think Tom is into it, and he can't admit that to himself.
Even if he was into it...
Because he's not an honest person.
Even if he was an honest
person, he would have got out of that situation.
He wouldn't have allowed it to go as far as it did.
What happens is his fault. And that's the ultimate moral price that he pays for not being a good person. It's one thing to be jaded. It's another to help out the snuff movie makers, basically, which is what he's doing. And that's
at one point, I was
murderous.
The way it was shot, I was kind of wondering who was doing the snuff movies.
Yeah. You're not supposed to know.
They kept going back and forth. I was wondering, okay.
Yeah, there's red
and I
herrings.
thought that was interesting because I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Between the two of them, who the heck the person was.
That's right, yeah.
And even in the end, you could probably make a case either way.
Yeah, I know. And I think that's what's good about this movie. The moral ambiguity of it is really well played. It's almost like a stage play in that it is very, very bare bones. The special effects consist of basically,
cutting
a body. Elias probably spent his entire budget.
It looked real. It looked very good.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they did that, but it looks damn real.
Indeed.
If you want to see as close to a snuff film as
that's right.
if you possibly can.
It called up, to my mind, now and then 8mm, the Nicolas Cage movie about snuff films. Mm-hmm. I just can't think of anything lower than murdering someone and videotaping it and making money off this somehow from, hidden pervert networks.
Yeah, well, the internet.
Yeah, but how do you monetize that? Because once you've done that, then they can grab you.
You would think.
Yeah, you'd have to like a box number in the back of a magazine.
Of course, this guy wasn't really doing it on the.
Yeah, I know. We don't want to say too much, but there's a lot of red herrings. There's a lot of lying on all sides here. Because the wife keeps saying, what is it, Tom? What is it? And he just keeps lying to her.
Yeah.
And if he didn't lie to her, if he shared,
yes,
things might have been different.
It's a very different type of horror movie.
There's a fight between Tom and Dan, and that's about as physical as it gets.
Yeah, everything else
is murders on the screen.
Yeah, and those are, all one-sided, really.
Yeah.
It's not like they're torturing them; they're just killing them.
Well,
it's not a lengthy way of.
Yeah.
They seem to do it very quickly.
Yeah.
It's a real creepy movie.
It is.
There's no doubt about
very
that.
Creepy.
I'll give you that.
I'm not sure I'd want Elias to babysit my kid, but
I don't think I would. And
it
might be worth a watch.
He and I have communicated.
I wouldn't want to see it over and over again.
No. I think it's worth a watch. And if you trust my opinion, folks, you'll check out Gut G-U-T.
It's a 2012 movie.
Yeah, new movie. Now, let's get on to another one. This slightly larger budget, though still pretty small movie. It's called In Their Skin.
Yeah, I like this one much better.
This directed by Jeremy Power Regimbo, I don't know. Written by Joshua Close, who stars in this as the husband, and the wife is played by Selma Blair. She's the biggest name actor in this. Now, this movie was shot in our neck of the woods up near Vancouver.
In Langley.
Langley, that's right. The two boy actors in it, Alex Ferris and Quinn Lord, plays Brendan, and Alex Ferris plays Jared. I think those are the two kids.
Yeah.
They're both Vancouver kids. They're both from around here.
They had minor roles, but they were important.
Yeah, especially the older boy.
Yeah.
Because he's right into it. And the plot of the movie is this couple and their boy, and they lost their little girl. She died the year previous, so the family is really strung out on grief, and the wife and the husband are getting along, but it's a real awful situation at home. And they decide to go to the family country house, because it sure isn't a cabin, it's a mansion.
It's a beautiful thing.
Beautiful house. They think that maybe there's some creepers running around in the forest in the first evening they're there.
Yeah.
And the next morning they wake up and hear somebody chopping wood and making lots of noise.
They're making noise in the back.
Turns out that it's Bobby and Bobby's wife, Jane, and their boy Jared, and sorry, didn't mean to disturb you, just wanted to give you a gift of this firewood. And they worm their way in. They basically force a dinner invitation on the husband when wife is out of the scene. And the next thing you know, these people have moved into their house and they are taking over not just their house, but their identities.
Yeah.
And it gets really creepy.
Well, it starts off creepy and it ends creepy. I really like this movie. It starts off really slow.
Yeah.
These awkward people that show up, you're in mourning, you want to be by yourself, you want to try to build fences with your wife and your child.
Yeah.
And these guys all of a sudden show up and they start asking all these weird questions. Personal questions and answering so vaguely.
Yeah, and telling things like, there was this family living in a car just up the road, and the main character says, well, what happened to them? Oh, I went and had a word, and we won't be seeing them again. It's them.
Yeah.
They were the ones living in the car, right? Because they just move from town to town, stealing identities.
As they go.
And trying to, because they're nuts. The wife, Jane, Bobby's supposed wife, was a girl when she was kidnapped. And so she's sort of brainwashed. She's got the Stockholm Syndrome, where she simply can't go against Bobby. And,
you can see they're terrified of him.
The boy, who is not their son, but the fake wife's little brother, he's been growing up in this horrible situation, and he's become psychotic as well.
Yeah.
Like, he's enjoying the torture and the rape and all the rest of it. I'd watch anything with Selma Blair in it. She's such a downer, but I always enjoy seeing her in stuff.
Yeah,
she's in the Hellboy movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
She plays a great depressed woman in that.
Yeah, she's always a depressed woman. There's something about her. She's always like, I don't know, I'm just sad.
Yeah.
She has a real puppy dog look to her face, big sad dark eyes.
Well, what happens is they get themselves invited for dinner.
They invite themselves, basically.
They have these awkward moments at the table.
Everything is awkward.
I just thought it was really well done.
Well, the wife keeps catching these strangers in lies.
Yeah.
And eventually Bobby just goes, all right, well, let's come clean.
Well, it happens.
Let's start attacking you.
No, it's when the two boys go upstairs to play video games. Yeah. The young kid of the house is whooping the other guy's ass. He's like, it's fifth game in a row that he's won, and then the kid pulls out a knife and puts it to his throat.
Yeah, scares
you think you can win? Says, now who's winning?
Yeah.
It's like, then it goes crazy from there.
Yeah, the two boys start pointing fingers at each other, and the parents are at each other's throats, and it goes from you get out of the house to don't think so.
No, they actually leave the house.
First.
They leave the house and they come back after they kill the dog.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I hated that scene. I hate the scenes where the dogs...
You just hear it. You don't see any. You never see the dog again.
Though, dies rather horribly, though, from the squealing and screaming of the
Well, it was just a shotgun. The guy kills him with a shotgun.
You hear the dog screaming and yelling for a long time. Yeah.
Not a lot. Well, anyway.
Seemed like a long time.
To you, maybe, because you like dogs.
I do. Fricasseed.
It goes on from there. Their son upstairs with the other boy, and he's got a gun on him, so they have to listen to them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
they don't always have to have their shotgun.
Right down to Selma Blair having to sexually service Bobby, or whatever his name is, because he admits, no, I'm not Bobby. That was the last identity I saw.
Yeah, the Polish guy. He said, do I look Polish?
Do I look like a Polak? Yeah, really offensive.
Yeah.
And he's stupid. He's just like this ignorant hillbilly. He's just got big brass ones. And, is willing to, by any means, take over somebody else's life. It seems to me
that, they're going...
Plus, they keep going on and on about how this couple's got the perfect life. And, of course, our daughter was killed last year. We're hardly perfect. Well, close enough for us.
Yeah. And they were waiting for them to come.
Yeah.
They saw the newspaper clipping of their daughter dying.
That's right, yeah.
So they were waiting for them to show up.
And they're monsters. So at least Bobby is a monster. The fake wife and the fake son survive to the end, and as they're being taken away in the cop cars, the wife is still like waving cheerily to the couple who are, bloodied and mutilated.
But he seems to have helped their marriage.
Yeah, that's right. At least they had their fun weekend in the country.
Very, very creepy movie.
It is.
And well played. I thought the actors in that were very good.
I was going to say, the Joshua Close playing the husband Mark, who wrote the screenplay, I thought a better actor could have done that part.
But the creepy guy, Bob.
Oh, yeah. James Darcy. Yeah, he's terrific. He's been in other stuff. He's genuinely creepy. You know who he could have played? The governor on Walking Dead.
Yes, he could have done that very easily.
He's very tall. He's very intimidating. He reminded me very, very much, in fact, of Tony Perkins, Norman Bates' character. He's got a lot of that sort of, he's caught in yet another lie, so he sort of goes, all right, you caught me. I was kidding, and he tries to josh his way out of it.
Yeah.
It's sort of the Norman Bates way.
Just all the questions, and then them trying to...
And creepy, weird questions.
Yeah, it's like, you like your brother,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, do you get along with your brother?
Yeah, it's like, what kind of relationship do you have with him? And it's like... Why are you asking us this?
It gets down to weirdness, like, which side of the bed do you sleep on? Like, as if they want to be carbon copies of these
pretty
people.
much. Yeah. And when he spills the water on his shirt, and
pulls his shirt off like he's a big muscle man.
Yeah, and
it's just uncomfortable.
He wants to get the clothes of his next victim on so he can feel him out.
Dressed up, yeah.
Yeah, that was very creepy.
Of course,
very
they
creepy.
give him a shirt right away.
But they survived to live another day.
Okay, we got another movie here. This one is sort of a horror. It's more a suspense movie spoof. It's called A Fantastic Fear of Everything. Released in 2011. Directed by Crispian Mills and Chris Hopewell. Written by Crispian Mills. Stars Simon Pegg, and it's pretty close to a one-man show. He's in every scene, and he's integral to the movie.
He's very different in this movie from his other parts.
Really? I just think he's almost always the same.
He looks so different.
Oh, well, he looks different. He's got a beard and long hair.
No, I mean, I thought he was a very unique performance.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
I just thought he's kind of the same schlubby.
No, he's not schlubby. He actually looks thin. In this.
That doesn't mean fat. I mean, he's like a dope, kind of a slacker. He
is paranoid.
He's an unsuccessful writer. He's had one hit, and that was a children's book. And he refuses to write any more kids' books, even though that's what got him an agent and so on. And he's insisting on working on this big, serious book about English serial killers.
Yeah.
And this is driving him half mad with paranoia. So he's jumping at every shadow, at every snap of a mouse trap. He's having a heart attack.
Yeah.
That's what the movie's about. It's about a guy having a nervous breakdown and having to fight his way through that. But to me, could have been Shaun of the Dead.
Nah.
Same character.
No.
Oh, I think he's awfully close.
No.
Did you ever see the TV series he did?
No.
No, it's like all the same actors from Shaun of the Dead. The big fat friend and the girl who was leading the other group in Shaun of the Dead. All those actors were in this TV series. I can't remember the name of it. And again, playing pretty much the same character. Like, he's the brightest of the group of slacker friends. And that's kind of the character he's playing here.
I don't think
he's not quite bright enough to do what he wants, and he's not quite bright enough to accept his limitations and be successful as a kid's book writer.
But he's in the midst of a breakdown. Okay?
Yeah, when we meet him.
Yes, and we find out why through the laundry and all that, laundromat and that. And the whole laundromat scene, I thought it was precious.
Yeah, that was well done.
I just thought it, just him being so paranoid and trying to get a shirt and the slacks clean so he can go to a meeting from a publisher or something like that.
A movie deal on one of his failed books.
Yeah, so the whole idea of him getting his hand glued to the knife.
Yeah. He gets a little liberal with the crazy glue. He wants to shut the window because every time he opens the window, he comes back into the room and he's sure that somebody's climbed in to murder him.
Yeah.
So he says, no more, and he crazy glues the window and then immediately wants to open it again and gets the glue all over himself and sticks a gigantic hunting knife to his hand. It's really funny.
And then he has to go out and he can't get the knife off his hand and he goes to a laundromat in a trench coat.
Yeah, woolly coat.
Yeah, so
with deep pockets.
Yeah, so he could put the knife in it. And
he's trying to do everything with his left hand.
It sounds like he's never been to a laundromat before.
Well, the reason that he's terrified of the laundromat, that it represents everything terrifying and evil to him, is that when he was 5 years old, his mother dumped him in a laundromat.
And I think it was that actual laundromat that he goes to.
Well, I think the idea is that they all look the same.
Oh, you think?
Oh, well, yeah, because there's another laundromat that's shown. This one is run quite cleverly, I thought, by a couple of Vietnamese women. And they're just these awful harpies. There's an old one who's she looks like something out of Platoon.
Yeah.
And there's a younger one who's just as nasty looking, but younger. And they're just horrible. They're no help whatsoever.
And to top it off, there's a serial killer running around.
Yeah. Is there, or is he just seeing the serial killer?
Well, it's in
the
paper.
There is one at large.
They're in the papers.
That's right.
It's on TV.
Yeah.
And he's paranoid that he's going to get killed if he goes outside.
That's right. Yeah. Well, he's scared of everything. I mean, that's it. He has a fantastic fear of everything.
He ends up going to the laundromat. He ends up scaring the hell out of everyone in the laundromat because of the knife.
Yeah.
And he actually meets a woman.
Yeah, beautiful woman. She is Amara Karen, playing Sangreet, beautiful Indian actress.
And they end up getting abducted.
Yeah, by
a killer. What they
don't give it away.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And they end up
tied up in the basement of the laundromat of all places.
And I think it's really cool how they mix the kid's story that he written.
Yeah.
And they have sort of a claymation.
Oh yeah, a little stop motion animation in there.
Of the story and everything. And it was.
But it's not the story that the guy had written, I think.
No.
So much as it's his life story of being dumped as a child in the laundromat, and it turns out that the maniac who's abducted them has quite possibly had a very similar traumatic experience. And they're both mad, but in different ways.
Yes.
One of them is violent and one of them is a writer.
Yeah.
He does his violence a different way.
That's what I enjoyed about this movie.
Yeah.
Is that I didn't know where it was going next.
Yeah. I'm surprised that Simon Pegg didn't have anything to do with the writing of this, because he co-wrote Shaun of the Dead, and he co-wrote the Hot Fuzz.
The Hot Fuzz.
Yeah. This could match either of those movies. Specifically Shaun of the Dead. I think that would be a nice double bill.
Yeah. But I think the characters are different.
Well, listen, what does he do when he's scared? Does he go, he does that in both movies.
It's more of a terror thing.
Simon Pegg doesn't have a great range. He's not a great dramatic actor. I think he does a fine job too, but it's typecasting. That's why he's in this movie, because do your Shaun of the Dead thing again, where you sort of take charge now and then, but you're not very good at it. And that's this character. Like I say, he's always playing.
He plays Scotty on Star Trek.
Yeah.
He's not doing his scary thing.
No, but he's very enthusiastic. He's I like this shit. Oh, this is great fun.
Yeah.
Oh, aye. There's always something happening. Oh. Now, that's about it, folks. But I do want to mention another movie that I watched it yesterday, written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. I've been a fan of his since Boogie Nights. It's called The Master. It was out in theaters last year, 2012. It stars Joaquin Phoenix His character is Freddie Quell. And Philip Seymour Hoffman as Lancaster Dodd. And Lancaster Dodd is a very thinly veiled L. Ron Hubbard. Uh-huh. And this is about Joaquin Phoenix's character, Freddie, who winds up getting involved in the early days of the building of the Church of Scientology. Uh-huh. And it's just, I wouldn't call it a laugh riot, but there is some good dark comedy. And if you're like me, if you're a cynic and an unbeliever and more or less an atheist, I think you'll really enjoy this movie because it tears a lot of the covers off of the early days of Scientology. It's based on written accounts by people who were there, who disagreed with L. Ron and left. But Philip Seymour Hoffman is always fun to watch, as is Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
And they are both so good in this. And the reason that this Freddie Quell, who the character is recently returned from World War II with post-traumatic stress syndrome, he actually also had like a brain injury. 1950 when the movie begins. And he's been going through odd jobs the 5 years since the end of the war. And he's just a drunk, and his life is just a mess. And Lancaster Dodd, the L. Ron Hubbard, sees something in him, and whether the Dodd character, the L. Ron Hubbard character, believes his own made-up religion or not, that's pretty much up to you to decide. But he keeps saying to Joaquin Phoenix's character, I know we've met somewhere before. And he believes in past lives. He believes that we go back not billions, but trillions of years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And when someone, a skeptic, I should say, at a party challenges the L. Ron character and says, you know, it's just crazy. I mean, we know the universe probably isn't more than a few billion years old. And the L. Ron Hubbard character just goes, you know, well, that just shows how limited your science is. You know, and it's just, okay, well, let's just throw science out as being too far-fetched. You know, science sees too small a picture. If we're really going to look at the trillions of years that our souls have been in existence.
It is possible that there was something before the Big Bang.
Well, it's just as nonsensical as any Christianity or any other organized religion. The difference is that when one person calls the shots, that's a cult.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't an organization. This is a one-man
Jesus
show
called
with
the
people
shots.
working for him. Yeah, but he wasn't running a religion in his day. He wasn't consolidating power and money the way that
he tried. That's why they put him under.
He was anti-money. He didn't want anything.
Well, that's a good reason to get rid of him, too.
Anyway, he didn't exist. L. Ron Hubbard did, and it was a cult. Okay, well, anyway, I think we're going to wrap it up there, folks.
On that note.
That
Jesus never existed.
That's right. No, he didn't.
Okay.
No, it's fantasy. It's an Egyptian myth that was rewritten time and time again.
Excellent. Love Egyptians.
So, Oz the Great and Powerful.
It's an okay. I don't know.
Is it a good kids movie?
Sure, why not? Sure,
right.
Why not?
No staying power, though. A few years from now, people will think it's just more of that 3D trash they were making in the early 2010s.
It's going to be here forever.
Yeah, really.
3D is here to stay.
I liked Gut more than Mark. I certainly think you should check it out.
It is
Elias.
It is a very chilling movie.
I think I made you like it a little more than when we first started talking about it.
Well, I watched it yesterday, and
it is disturbing.
It disturbed me.
But that's what a good horror movie ought to do. You know, at the end of a horror movie, you shouldn't go out going, well, I'm glad everyone had a good time, you know. No,
this is one that really wants to make you sick.
Yeah, well, it is. It is truly horrifying. In Their Skin, a little more conventional horror movie, also must be pretty low budget, because there's virtually no special effects in this other than like a knife going into somebody's chest once and stuff like that.
A few gunshots.
Yeah, exactly. But I think we both like that.
Yep.
A Fantastic Fear of Everything, good comedy on suspense. Yeah. You could take it as almost like a parody of Hitchcock, something like that.
Yeah.
A little bit. And Mark hasn't seen it, but I really like The Master, and it has absolutely nothing to do with horror whatsoever. However, it has a lot to do with fantasy. Yeah, really. All right. So that's it. So long from me. I'm Jerry.
And goodbye from Mark.
Yeah, that's Mark.
Yeah. I'm going to be gone for a week or so.
So we might...
Going down to Phoenix.
Joaquin
Arizona.
Phoenix. You're going to take Joaquin with you?
Yep.
There you go.
I plan on being in the 30-degree weather, or as they say in the States, the 90-degree weather.
90-degree weather, yeah. Oh, well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
I like the rain.
Really?
Yeah, I like to sit in the cupboard.
No, I love dry heat. Oh. Dry heat's where I love.
No,
it's good.
I don't tan, I stroke, as Woody Allen
I don't plan on
says.
sitting in the sun. I just plan on enjoying the heat compared to up here.
Now you gotta have airco. Gotta have airco, and that only makes it hotter.
Next time you hear from me, I'll have some sort of southern drawl.
Yes, and probably be a little tanned anyway. Yeah.
You'll be able to tell the way I'm talking that I'm tanned.
Yes.